years. So that is what led me to having an interest in video game design, and that is how I became a video game designer, and that is how I'm able to give a speech in front of this wonderful E3 conference. Okay? So I did some research and I found a very interesting article about solving the problem of the complex graphics within video games. And I think it's a pretty good innovation. However, I must admit that this is not my work. It is actually an article written by Cleo Abram, and I'm just here to present the idea to you with the permission of the author. Now, let's move on to the talk. The power of triangles, solving the complexity of video game graphics. Before we dive in to the complex video graphics and video game design, let's look a little bit back at history. So do you guys know what this game is?
This is ping pong. Pong.
So, you guessed it, it's Pong.
Yeah.
One of the most famous classics. So as you can see, Pong is a really simple game. It's made out of boxes and also rectangles and also squares. I don't know about you guys, but as a modern adult living in a modern society, technology, I could gouge my own eyes looking at these graphics, because I know it looks aesthetic, but it's not up to par with what we have today. Let me show you.
This is minimalist design.
It's minimalist, but I'm more of a high-end kind of guy.
Oh, high-end.
Now, let me show you what we have today. This is a clip from Red Dead Redemption, and can any one of you tell me what you can see in this picture?
A cowboy on a horse.
Triangles. Cowboy on a horse.
Pixels.
You cannot see pixels.
Holding a sniper rifle.
Okay, the face.
Graphics.
A rifle. Okay, you can see all the big things, but you can also see the small things. This presenter is not very well engineered, so you cannot really see. Or maybe it's because of the lighting, but if you were to look on this PC, you can actually see like small horses in the distance.
More horses?
Small horses.
Where
Horses
small
in the
horses?
distance. You can actually see it right there. You can actually see the grasses.
Yes, of course.
Yes, you can see the horse?
Yeah,
Where?
You cannot see
That's
it
not a
from
horse.
the projector. You can see.
There's a lamb.
There's a horse. There's a horse. Okay. So in the book, that is how far we have advanced from Pong to Red Dead Redemption, which can be run at 4K graphics. So this cannot happen without the help of one thing, the graphics processing unit. So a GPU basically is it's called a graphics processing unit, which acts as a tool for the computer to actually create graphics. So how does it work? It actually does a lot of calculations. You see this? You see the word GFLOPS? GFLOPS is actually the unit for how much a computer or how much a graphics processing unit card can do a calculation in 1 second. So in 2016, we have already achieved 10,000 gigaflops. And it's not 10,000, it's 10,000 billion. So that's how much we have achieved in 2016. And in 2019, who knows how much. So right now, a new problem arises. Since now we have a really good graphics processing unit, we now have a new problem. Game developers are constantly trying to push the limits of every graphics processing unit. They tend to make games more meticulously detailed. They tend to make more games being much more lively compared to other games. If you were to play a game like Super Mario, a 2D game, right? You cannot actually interact with the rest of the world. The rest of the world is just a background. But if you play games like Red Dead Redemption just now, you can actually go everywhere, and this requires a lot of calculation power. And that can only be done with a a higher power graphics processing unit. But like I said, the new problem right now is that developers are constantly trying to push the limit. So here's the innovation that I found in that article. Triangles. Triangles. I'm not trying to like brainwash all of you into joining the Illuminati, but it's really about triangles. So moving on, can you guess what this image is? It's not a triangle. It's actually a clip from video games, but with lower resolution. And as you can see, a graphic or any form of image is actually in a computer or a screen is actually made out of thousands of pixels.
Then you can see pixel.
This one is with lower resolution makes larger pixels. That's why the graphics became less and less in quality. Okay, so this one is actually with a low resolution. So the thing about pixels is that it can only host one color in one shape, in one square. So how does right now we have 1080p and also 4K graphics, which can host around 4,000 squares of pixels in a particular screen. So that's why we can create better quality images. So how can triangles actually help? So when a GPU is trying to process pixels, it is actually calculating vertices or for your coordinates. To make things much more simple, it's coordinates. They need to know where to put that particular pixel. For example, if I want to create a tree, I need to know, the computer needs to know where should I put the green color. Should it be at the top? Should it be at the bottom? So that's what a GPU does. It calculates all these complex calculations and complex equations in order to know where to put the particular graphic. But with triangles, we can actually overcome the lack of GPU power. How? First, triangles can help you mash out pixels. Why? Because when you have a triangle, you can actually fit a lot more squares into one triangle. If I were to ask you, does anyone have a marker? There's a marker there.
I have marker in my bag. Open my bag. Yeah, open it. No. Open it. The second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Marker. If I want to draw a square, let's say this is a square I want to draw. It's much easier for me to draw the square with a bigger square than starting from smaller squares and drawing it one by one. So that's how the triangles actually help, because it helps to reduce the burden of calculation for the particular image. So it makes calculation for the particular image much more easier for the GPU. Okay? But I'm sure all of you are all questioning, why triangles specifically?
Yeah, why triangle?
Why triangles? Why can't it be squares, or why can't it be, I don't know, diamonds, circles? Pentagons, right? Well, here's the thing. A triangle is always a one plane shape. A one plane shape. Let me show you an example. If I were to put 3 points here, I can only create a triangle. However, if I were to put 4 points, then it can either be a square, or it can either be a pyramid. So that is why we need triangles specifically, because in order for a computer to create a curved image or any kind of image, it needs to flatten the image. Okay, it needs to take a curve and make it into small squares so it is barely noticeable. So how does this work? Is that with triangles, the computer will not have to think whether or not it is a pyramid, or it is a square, or it is an octagon. So it's a definite solution. Whenever the computer receives the information, it's always a triangle. It cannot be a pyramid, it cannot be a cylinder, it cannot be a cube, it cannot be a cuboid. So it's much more easier for the computer to think, it's much more easier for the computer to calculate. So this makes the job for game developers much more easier because they can now put everything into triangles and it will look like this. Okay? It can look like this. And for your information, a one plane shape, for example, this is one plane, it is always flexible and bendable. But a cube, if you were to bend a cube, whose phone is this? If you were to bend the cube, this is a keyboard, sorry. If you were to bend this, you cannot bend this, or if you do bend it, it will break. It will no longer become a keyboard. So with a one plane shape, it is much more simpler and much more, it can put the computer at ease, therefore increasing performance, which is very crucial for a video game. Because people don't like video game that lags, people don't like video games that takes too much time to load, right? So one last benefit is triangulation. Because with triangles, you can make anything. Do you believe me?
I don't believe you.
You don't? Okay.
Yeah.
This is why I'm here to explain.
The world is not made up of
It's the
triangles.
principle of diagonals. It's the principle of diagonals. So, whenever I draw a shape, oh sorry, sorry. Whenever I draw a shape, I can always split it into triangles. However, this is only exclusive to diagonals because computers cannot do this. They cannot split it through the middle. It must be from corner to corner. Okay, that's the principle of diagonals in mathematics, which is very crucial in video game development and also the logics within a GPU unit. So, a triangle, you cannot split a triangle into triangle because there is no diagonal. There is no corner meeting corner except for the one that makes the sides. However, for a square, you can easily cut it down to triangles. This can be cut down into triangles. You can be cut down into triangles. Everything can be cut down into triangles. So that is why triangles is very necessary in our gaming world today. So here's one last fact. As you can see, the graph shows how much better a computer can perform using only triangles rather than quads. Quads is actually a 4-point polygon or a 4-point image. So as you can see, all the triangles, the performance rate is actually really high in comparison to the quads. These are the quads. These are the triangles. Okay? So that is why I believe that all of you should now take up this innovation and use it when you make your own video game or when you make your own graphics. Because I know some of you work in an animation studio, some of you work in a, video game development company. So it is really necessary for you to adopt triangles. So this is the source or the link to the article if you want to read more, and you can ask the author himself or ask me for more information about this kind of topic. And I hope all of you can actually put this new technique into practice to ensure a smoother game performance and better sales, because who would want to buy a game that looks like Pong nowadays, right? We would.
1976.
People who want to buy it for a vintage purpose, for a vintage look.
Is it not amazing?
Okay, so that's it.
Atari, right?
Thank you.
Atari,
Any
right?
questions?
Yeah,
Any
Atari.
questions?
Atari. Pong is Atari. Pong is Atari, right?
Yeah. It's from the one book. The one
Yeah, I know. It's called Atari, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Atari. I forgot which Atari. So, okay. Any questions?
Something, got something, but I can't put it into words.
Okay.
Yes.
A circle doesn't have any points, so how do you triangulate a circle?
A circle doesn't have any points. Actually, when it comes to making graphics or making, any kind of development using a screen, You cannot, like I said, you need to turn a curve into flat surfaces. So instead of looking like a circle, it will look like squares on top of squares on top of squares. So that is how you can triangulate it. So you wouldn't need to create circles because computers cannot create circles. Any other questions?
Do you think that maybe in the future, like now we're using triangles, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps maybe in the future there will be like a different shape that could increase the performance of the graphic processor?
Yeah, actually there's a new technology that is currently being developed but not yet put into practice like most video game companies and animation companies right now use triangles because this is the most efficient way. But right now people are working on a new innovation called voxels. You know pixels?
Okay.
But substitute the P to vo because vo represents volume. So instead of squares, you have cubes. So your screen will host cubes instead of squares. So if this project were to be successful, this could be the new innovation which can lead to better performance. Because voxels can you can instantly turn a 3D shape into a 3D shape without having to turn it to 2D first and then rendering it to make sure it has depth, shadowing, lighting, so on and so forth.
But a cube is not a one plane shape. How is your opinion on that?
The thing is, right now, is that when computers or screens rely on pixels, which are 2D squares, right? 2D squares, it makes it much harder to think because if I have a 2D, if I draw like I said, if I were to put 4 points on a plane, it can either be squares or triangles, right? Or pyramids, sorry. But if I were to put a cube on a cube, then it's a cube. But do you get it? You get it? No. No.
The playground change it into a 3D shape.
Okay. Because
It's not points anymore. It will be more than
Like you just imagine that it's better than needing to like stack endless 2D shape together.
Okay, the software development company supports this.
yes. I'm spot now. Buy this product. Yes. Okay. Any other questions?
You're saying that in time to come,
Yes.
the square pixels that we have on our screens and monitors will be changed to triangles.
Actually, it's not changed to triangles. We use triangles to, how we say it? It's like, the pixels are like, you know when you play collage, you know you tear up a piece of colored paper and glue it on a picture. It's like that, but instead of using squares, you use triangles on top of the, let's say the paper is a grid paper. So instead of using small squares to fill in the grid paper, you use triangles because it can fit in to a lot more space without having to make things much more complicated. Because if I put a larger square, then it can either be a cuboid. Yes.
My company is specialized in producing tools for video games. And I wonder, because when you talk about Bossa, it's a new thing for me and my company, we just heard about that. And I wonder if when this innovation we realize will come, will it change the tools? How will it change the tools that we use in our in the video games?
I'm sure it will create. I don't think it will create that much change. However, I do think it will create a change in case of enhancing the GPU, because you know, in order to create better graphics, you need a better graphic card with higher power, and you might also need to change. I think software, for example, Game Maker, Unity, all those game engines will actually change in order to adapt voxels rather than just pixels. Because when you change, you also need to change the screen, and you also need to change the software, adapting the new technique. Sure.
Are triangles only used for 3D games or 2D games as
Everything.
well?
It's used for everything. Because it creates much higher rendering power with lower without expending too much power on the PC, without expending too much burden on the PC. Okay? So thank you for listening to my talk. Once again, I would like to admit, and I would like to say that the particular article and the innovation is not mine. It's actually written by Cleo Abraham from Vox. So if you want to learn more, you can actually refer to the article. And there are also a few videos posted about those things. So you can learn. Thank you.